got him out of the gym just to do this report. Hanoch Young from Modi'in, Israel. How you doing this morning? That
I'm,
afternoon for you.
well, I'm doing fine. Listen, I have utilized the total shutdown of tourism in our country and being unable to work with training and nutrition. So, it's like, yeah, that's what I'm all about.
Well, it seems like you're busy at least. But yeah, the big news for you is that you got to do something yesterday. I've been watching on Facebook the memories, and it's like Facebook is every day trying to torture me because it's giving me
Yeah.
memories of our tour last year.
Just last
And
year, 1 year
yeah,
ago.
yeah, I know. It's crazy that to think where we're at a year from, um, you got to go to Jerusalem yesterday.
Yes.
Now,
Uh,
to say that, I'm not breaking one of those top 10 commandments, like in coveting kind of thing, well, I don't know that you have to really repent for that kind of thing. So, it's just the
okay.
way it is. But tell us
I,
about Jerusalem yesterday.
okay. Well, first of all, it was what's called a Hishtalmut. It's a continuing education course. Tour guides have to take one every year. Now, this was one actually that was scheduled in June, and it's a whole long thing, but it used to be until this year, the Ministry of Tourism would set up all the courses. Now they've kind of offshored them, if you will,
Hmm.
to different organizations in Israel. So the moment I saw this, and even though I had taken the tour guides course in Hebrew, I prefer to take these continuing education ones in English because I can listen with half an ear and still be somewhat of a genius,
Okay.
at least in theory. So this was one on the synagogues of the Old City. And for me, it was a great refresher because I very rarely guide Jewish groups, as it turns out.
Yeah.
So, and it was Professor Eyal Meron, who's Israel's leading authority on just about everything. He's the guy that disputes where the walls were at this particular period in history. Anyway, it was originally scheduled for June. It was put off till now. Then they divided the class in half. We all have to wear masks, etc., etc. Blah 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 blah. But it was fascinating because we got to discuss the Jewish population in Jerusalem at various points in history. And he brought in new information that, and I'm one of those guides that keeps very current on everything, but he had the most recent stuff. One of the pictures that I'm going to be posting on Facebook either today or within the next few days is an area right near Jaffa Gate where stuff is going on, and you can walk past it. I mentioned this to you yesterday. So I want everyone who's been to Israel to picture that they're leaving Jaffa Gate. They're walking out of the old city. If they go straight, they're going to be going down Rehov Yafo, Jaffa Street, the light rail. If they make a left, they're going to be going down the stairs to Mamila. Do neither. Walk straight ahead and look carefully over the railing. You see an underpass. Cars are coming up, and you see all kinds of work right below you on the right side. What they've unearthed is a Mamluk period wall built in 1212, destroyed by the same Mamluks in 1219 when they fled the city. More important, nearby, under a black tarp, is part of the aqueduct that brought water to Jerusalem in the Roman Byzantine period. Again, the Romans morphed into the Byzantines around 322, 324,
Right.
etc., until 638, conquered by the Muslims. It also has part of the aqueduct from the Second Temple period. The aqueduct that brought water to Jerusalem, to the Temple Mount.
Okay, let me stop you. Since Jerusalem is higher than most of the areas around, where is it bringing water from?
Brichat Shlom. Oops. Hello?
Yeah, you're there.
Sorry, it's just flashing low battery. Hang on 1 minute and let me get a cord and plug in.
Okay.
Hang on 1 second. See if you can still sing some songs, Mike. I'll be right back.
No, that's not what I'll do. But I'm not going to. I'm not going to mess with you. So now we get a really interesting look at Hanoch's apartment in all kinds of angles there as he's walking around, and well, there's something we all do, right?
It was just a brief pause for technical difficulty. Oh, let's get this plugged in and turned on.
Okay. Here we go.
Okay.
There he is.
I could have sworn that I had something like 58%, but I guess not.
It's just all that energy that you just pull out of everything. You walk into a room and you just kind of absorb it, I guess.
I suckle the energy out of everything. Okay.
That's kind of what I was thinking, but I wasn't going to say it like that.
You're much nicer than I, Charlie Brown. The good news is my phone is dying. My MacBook is dying. They've got to open things up so I can get to America, the old country, and buy some of these toys. Anyway, let's get back to it.
Okay.
So, Brichat Shlomo, the Pools of Solomon, located near Beit Lechem Ephrat.
Mm.
It went on for close to 20 kilometers. An amazing thing.
Wow.
Amazing. I'll send you a graph of what this looks like. So, all the mental midgets who say, well, the temple couldn't have been on the Temple Mount because it's not near the Shiloach pool, the pools of Siloam.
Yeah.
Duh, great. And guess what? Northern Texas isn't near the Atlantic Ocean either. But somehow they have running water. I have no idea how they do it. Okay. That area is where the entrance to Migdal David, the Tower of David, is going to be.
Okay.
If you've ever been on the Ramparts walk around Jerusalem, the southern path is now closed off while they're doing this construction.
Huh.
So while y'all are busy pining to come back to Israel, we are busy little beavers here. We are doing stuff, which is really, really pretty cool. But again, where Israel really stinks is in signage. You could walk past that 3,850 times and have no idea that any of this is going on.
Yeah.
So that's great stuff. I also, picked up some great tidbits, some great stories and anecdotes that I can't wait to share with our peeps on the next Connect to Israel tour, which is scheduled at this time for February 28th through the March 11th, 2021. So that's exciting. That's the good news. Let me tell you the bad news. The bad news is I went to the Cardo.
Yeah.
Not a single shop was open. The Cardo is exclusively a tourist shopping area. Nobody's there.
Yeah.
The barbecue place in the square closed. The cafe near the Shorashim shop closed.
What about the Korean restaurant?
The Korean restaurant, I heard, is open for takeout.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it's too crowded inside.
Yeah.
Of course, since I'm eating a much higher protein diet, and it wasn't a carb day, I wasn't there.
Yeah, and you don't like soju, so.
Where you do have life in the city is through the center of town. and Machane Yehuda, the outdoor market. A number of restaurants, of course, have closed, but it's open. What is interesting, though, is, of course, there are no tourists. And a couple of times when I've been there over the last few months, when I guess people were confused that no tourists were allowed in Israel still, when they heard me on my phone, I was speaking to you one day, as a matter of fact, and they heard me speaking English. I got off the phone and it's like, "Oh, American, where you from? Where you coming from? How long you here? You here with a group?" No, it's me. I'm just an old Israeli with an accent from the old country. So, it's we're living in bizarre times.
Yeah.
I'm glad we were able to do now. It turns out the Ministry of Tourism is going to extend everyone's guiding license for a year anyway, because most people can't get into these courses. I jumped on it when it was first announced back in, I think, April. So I signed up for this right away, and the course closed off. So that's one little piece of things. Our government is again talking about a total lockdown across the country.
Yeah.
Everything here is politically involved. You would think that we would be dancing in the streets singing the dawning of the age of Aquarius, because, Serbia, Kosovo, President Trump is busy twisting arms. And he got the Serbs and the folks from Kosovo. Again, just to remind everybody, Kosovo is a Muslim majority, almost exclusively Muslim part that had been Serbia. They broke off, declared themselves unilaterally independent, which then caused the United States and its allies to bomb Serbia to bits for about 83 days, if y'all can remember that. They don't like each other. Now, Israel has not recognized Kosovo because, needless to say, we, like Spain, like other countries that have groups that say we're going to declare unilateral independence, we're a little shy about that. So President Trump announced that both Kosovo and Serbia would be moving embassies to Jerusalem. I don't know if you all caught that little piece, though, but the Serbs, who have been friendly to Israel from back, and especially during the Second World War, the Serbians, who are an Orthodox Christian nation, really, really helped their local Jewish community. But Serbia's president has said, listen, if y'all, he didn't say it quite this way, but it would have been, for those who are listening who only speak Southern, if y'all go and recognize Kosovo, forget it, man. We've split up. Don't be calling us anymore.
I think to me, we look at all this that's happening with these so-called peace deals. Reports of the whoever in the Arab Emirates wants to come over to the Temple Mount, and let's sign these peace deals, and let's have these different countries have the embassies in Jerusalem and all of this. I guess that somewhere along the way, tomorrow is 9/11. Now, I know that there's, that just the thought of that brings forth the conspiracies and all that stuff. And I have my own opinions on those things, and I'm not going to go there. But one thing that 9/11 should have done, should have put in concrete in people's minds, is that Islam is not a peaceful religion. The whole concept of the radicalization of people, that here's these, harmless as dove little people over here that just want to, play in the sandbox nice and share their Tonka toys and all this, that all of a sudden one day they wake up and put a strap a bomb to themselves and blow themselves up in the middle of a crowd of people. uh, anybody that believes that has no concept of what Islam is.
No.
So the possibility, here's the the UAE. I would imagine that the vast majority of the world really does not know much about the UAE,
No.
except for they like take $1,000 bills and light their cigars that they're not supposed to have in a Muslim country or something. I don't know, but it's an extremely wealthy place. But it's still the heart of all these countries is still, could I say it like this, the spirit of Esau, the spirit of Ishmael. That's still uh, the underlying principle of these people. So it may look peaceful on the front, but the Torah talks about many times not making covenant with those who are not in the covenant.
Now, the thing that's interesting, I mean, everything you just said is totally on point, and I hope people play this back several times until they really hear it and internalize it. The glib response is the warning of not forming a covenant is with those nations that were in our country. United Arab Emirates never was. But here's the kicker that I want to add to that. This deal is contingent upon us selling out Judea and Samaria and creating a so-called Palestinian state. So it is all linked with our relationship to the non-Israelite entities that occupy parts of our land.
Yeah. Those same entities that will burn a farm, will set fire to the grapevines, the vineyards. The same ones who will send incendiary balloons across from Gaza.
Exactly.
Continual, the stabbings at Ariel. This continue. There's nothing to. This would be like the person who has threatened you to come on and burn your house down 1,000 times. And in fact, 998 times they've actually had a torch in their hand as you caught them. And then all of a sudden they say, oh, I was just kidding. Let's get along. And then you notice that the torch is behind their back and you're stupid enough to believe that they've changed.
Listen, you mentioned that tomorrow is the anniversary of 9/11. Since many of our listeners are Americans in particular, I want to illustrate a point. Here in Israel, there was mass mourning for the victims, and there is a memorial. Whereas in the so-called quote-unquote Palestinian communities, they celebrated, shut off fireworks, and gave out sweets to celebrate the death of Americans. So, never forget, never forgive.
A wolf is a wolf is a wolf.
Yeah.
And, only sheep believe that a wolf can change.
It's the classic story of the scorpion and what is it? The scorpion and the frog, or scorpion and the turtle? That the scorpion trying to get to the other side. So the scorpion says, "Give me a ride," and the whatever it is, the frog or the turtle says, "But you're a scorpion, you'll kill me." He said, no, I need to get to the other side. Gets on the back, halfway through, stings I guess it was a frog, or a turtle. And the turtle says, but you'll die too. I said, yeah, but I'm a scorpion. You are your nature.
Yeah.
There is no radical Islam. There is only mainstream Islam. This is not going away. Now, interestingly enough, everyone here is celebrating because some Saudi cleric gave a sermon last Friday that wasn't vehemently anti-Israel. And because we're so pathetic here and we want the world to love us, we took this as a good sign. What did he say? He told the story from the Quran of a Jewish neighbor of Muhammad, who Muhammad was especially nice to, and the Jew was so taken by this that he wound up converting to Islam. Now, as someone who grew up in a vehemently anti-Jewish neighborhood in the Bronx in New York City, I can see that for what it is. It's a different strategy of we'll be nice to these guys and we'll kill them with kindness.
Yeah.
Don't y'all see that?
You know, I think I've told this story. It's been a long time ago, but I think it serves a point right here as we look toward 9/11. Back in the early 2000s, I had a friend of mine that was very high up in government. I can't give the specifics of it, but as far as Desert Storm, they were one of the people that was running the whole thing. And they were in Saudi Arabia many years ago, had made friends in the area. As they were about to leave, this friend of theirs next door invited them for dinner. And in the process of the conversation that evening said, you know, I just got a question for you. We've had, you know, I've been here, our family, our children have played together. We've had dinner together many times. If for some reason war broke out between our countries, what would you do? He said, without batting an eye, and this is a man that has seen battle up front, close and up front. And
right.
Without batting an eye, this Muslim neighbor said, I would kill you. And he was so taken back. He said, whoa, stop. You know, our children have played together. You know, explain this, how you were so fast to just change there. When say this, he says, because in times of peace, we can be friends. But in times of war, I will kill you.
You know, I wish people here in our government in Israel would realize that as America prepares to sell F-35s to United Arab Emirates.
Yeah, but they, you know, you didn't read the thing there, Hanoch. I'm sure that you know you were too busy in the gym. That America has a kill switch, so that they, you know, if they happen to turn toward Israel, we can, you know, disable the plane.
Now, is this the same America that had Israel under a total arms boycott between 1948 and 1967? Is this the same United States government which at various points, including when a young senator by the name of Joe Biden threatened Menachem Begin with sanctions if Israel didn't toe the line?
Yeah, it's the same United States that is running the United States Post Office. Okay, enough said.
Which is still better than the Israeli postal system.
That you have a point there. And by the way, we have a package coming to you. Kathy's going to put it in the mail today.
Okay.
So, thank you so much for the report from Israel. And as always, people can go to kolyehuda.com. They can converse with you on Facebook, on email. I'm not sure the carrier pigeons are getting there right now, but you know, whatever somebody'd like to do, they can donate to what you're doing. And we appreciate the updates.
Shalom, Mike. Talk
Take
to you
care.
soon.
All right.
Bye-bye.